Hi, this is Justine, and this is story number 8 in the series of the 12 Days of Greene Christmas stories. And this one, hopefully, is fairly short to make up for the last couple. This is in reference to my sophomore year of high school. I joined the marching band, actually. Technically, I joined the marching band at the end of my freshman year, which meant that I had to attend band camp at the end of the summer before school started. And band camp was tons of fun, lots and lots and lots of work, and some minor bits of embarrassment because, all in good fun kind of band hazing, and given that all of my friends had joined marching band the year before, they all got to have fun hazing me as a newbie, or a beanie, as we were called back then in the Silver Regiment. And right down to you were given a beanie name, and you actually literally did have to wear a beanie every day during band camp. Yes, we did. We had to wear beanies. And I had the distinction, or lack thereof, of having the band director, Greg Martin himself, decide what my name was. Most everybody else, the senior band members would call out name suggestions, and people would vote, and that's how you got your beanie name. But when I came forward to get my beanie name, Mr. Martin says, I have already decided what Jonah's name, because I have to point out, in high school, I went by my middle name. I did not go by Justine. I went by Jonah. He says, I have known ever since the first day she was in band, when I knew I was going to convince her to join the marching band, eventually, what her beanie name was going to be. And we all sat there and bated breath. Greg Martin announced to everyone as I sat there waiting to get my beanie and be named, I pronounce you Beanie Jonah the Hutt. Yes, it was a play on the name Jabba the Hutt from Star Wars fame. He didn't really think through all of the ramifications of giving a name that referenced a large slug-like creature to a female sophomore who was short and got teased about being chubby. He really was just making the name association. He and I didn't talk about that until years later, actually, and then he apologized profusely, which was really sweet. But anyway, my dad was thrilled when I got home from band camp that night to find out that my beanie name was Star Wars related, and that I was able to take my band geek level to even one step further and have a sci-fi related beanie name for band camp, and not just any old beanie name. I was mortified by it, and remain mortified by it through the entirety of band camp and pretty much my entire high school career. And there's part of me right now that is saying that if anyone actually watches this, I may regret the fact that I am putting this out there for anyone to know, or remind them that that was my beanie name so many years ago, back in 1985. Good Lord. Anyway, so band camp. In band camp, what we do is we would learn the beginning of our full marching show. So we would basically learn the first sets and learn the first piece of music, and you learn the basics of marching. You learn drill, and basically start building up your endurance for marching, because the Silver Regiment, back when I was in it, was not just a football band. We were a hardcore competition band as well, and we were on a very regular basis first place winners of competitions all over the state. And that was due in a large part to the regimen that Greg Martin and Howard Weinstein, he was the assistant to Greg at the time, put us under to make sure that we really were in top form with our playing and our ability to march on the field. We marched drum corps style. If you don't know what that means, Google it. You should. It's great. It's one much better way to march. Anyway, back to the story. At the end of band camp, at the end of the 2 weeks, you have a show for the parents. So the parents know that, yes, indeed, there was something productive being done for the 2 weeks, that their children were out of the house from 7 in the morning until approximately 7:30 at night every day for the last 2 weeks of summer. So you do a show, which was all of the sets that we learned from the beginning of the show and playing at the same time, and then a potluck dinner with the families and everything. And that was also, thank goodness, when beanies were no longer beanies. We were full-fledged band members at that point. I was really excited about that part, personally. But my folks showed up to see the show and then have dinner with us. And I could see them, and because I was actually, where I started the show, I was one of the people that was in the front line. And I'm embarrassed to say I cannot remember the name of the fellow that was playing the sousaphone next to me, but I want to say it was Brian. But I know that the guy that played trumpet that was standing on the other side of me in the opening set was David. And they were both freshmen. And I was, like I said, I was a sophomore. And I played clarinet, by the way. So we did the set. And we're only talking, a few minutes worth of actual marching and music. Basically one piece of music worth of marching and music. But, it was still enough to prove to our parents that, yes, we were actually doing something productive and to, get everybody excited and pump us up and excited about the fact that we were going to spend 3 days a week, every week after school, doing the same kind of stuff and dedicate all of our Fridays to either football games or competitions, and most of our Saturdays during football season to competitions all over the state. But hey, that was what being in a competition marching band was all about, and we all loved every moment of it. I still miss it. Anyway, my mother, my wonderful, wonderful mother that I miss and I love and I adore, she and Dad walk up to where I am sitting with my friends, so that they can sit down and they can have dinner with us. And my mom walks up, and the first thing she says, unlike most of the parents who are finding their kids, and you're hearing, different variations on the most part of, wow, that was great, that was impressive, oh, I loved seeing what you did, oh, your show that's wonderful, I can't wait to see what the rest of it's going to be. Statements like that, the kind of things that you would expect a parent to make to encourage their child, that, yes, those, opening, still kind of stumbling efforts after just 2 weeks of learning all this stuff were totally impressive to them as parents, so that, we felt it was totally worth what we had done, and we absolutely should continue going through with it. No, not my mom. My mom walks up, and in front of all of my friends that were my best buddies in band, in both marching band and in wind ensemble, which was like the actual class that I was in school. First thing out of my mother's mouth was, "When did you get short, Justine?" Never lived that down. Never. No pun intended. I just thought about that. Never did. My friends lost it. They just, you couldn't have written a better line for my mother to walk up with and just drop like gold at my friend's feet. So for the rest of that year, on and off, out of the blue, my friends would pop up with, now bear in mind, I went by Jonah in high school. "So Jonah, when did you get short?" Now to visualize, go back to sousaphone player, who I think was Brian, on my left. Sousaphone, if you're unaware, is basically the marching band version of a tuba. It is a large instrument that is brass, and it has the bell that comes over your head, and you actually wear it. It's big, and the bell of the sousaphone was the curve of it was well over my head. And now, bear in mind, we were in hats that had feathers that stuck up too, so the bell still cleared that. And then on my right hand side, I had David on trumpet, which, trumpet it's not a large instrument. Yeah, clarinet technically is actually longer than a trumpet. When you're talking a regular trumpet and a regular clarinet, we're not going to get into the alternate versions of these instruments, okay? But David was over 6 feet tall. So when you have a trumpet player that's over 6 feet tall, when the first move that we make is a hard flank, so we do this, his trumpet turned and very sharply cleared all the way over the feathers sticking up the top of my head with no problem. And in that moment, when we did that first hard flank, my mother realized that her oldest daughter was actually really short. You have to see. My mom was 4'10". She insisted 4'10.5", but she was really 4'10". And my sister is only 4'11". I am 5 feet tall. So, to my mom, I was tall, because I was always taller than her, except for when I was a really little kid, and with my dad being on the road so much, until the years when my brother got much older, given that I'm almost 6 years older than him, when she needed something reached or she needed a light bulb changed someplace high, I was the one that she called. I was the one that climbed up on a chair or a stool or something. So, in my mom's mind, I was tall until that day. Ever after that point, my mom delighted in pointing out to me that I was short. In which turn, I delighted in pointing out to her that at 4'10", she was a dwarf. At which point, we then would get into an argument about the fact that she was 4'10.5", and I said she cheated when she measured. So, I told her puffy hair didn't count. And then I usually got into the whole she was the mom and what she says goes kinds of thing, and I had to pretty much shut up at that point. But that would be my story number 2. So we're now technically caught up, so now I just actually have to do tonight's story. So that is the story that is mom-centric for this evening, that was actually due yesterday. For the 12 days. So thank you for listening and watching. And if any of my old band buddies listen and watch, hey, tug, thumbs up, guys. And go Silverhawks, go Silver Regiment. And aside from that, have a lovely evening and hopefully a happy holiday season. And I'll see you in a little bit because I still have to do tonight's story to get caught back up completely. So, on that note, bye!